Should we talk about we can talk about, I mean, there really isn't too much to take away from the Katowice talent roster. I mean, we can move on to Katowice now if we're good on that, because there was some news coming out from Katowice. Well, I guess now the obvious one is that we can look forward to Config on NIP. That's when we get to see him play on that roster. But there was also the Katowice talent announcement.
Where is
and
the
I guess
talent
like,
announcement? Is it not in this document or something?
Oh no, I don't think I added that one. Here, I can put it in.
Just link me.
It's on HLTV, but I'll put it in at the bottom here, Katowice.
I remember I had a brief look, and the first thing I did think was like, "Where's Moses?" And I remembered myself, like, "Wait a minute, he's my own friend, and I know he's having a child." Like, so there's that.
Right. That. But then also, but the
Where's
thing
the
is, like, okay, where's Moses? Fair enough. But this is where it makes me wonder. It's like, shit, where's Anders?
Can I have the link, please?
Oh, I thought I'll put it in the Discord.
Didn't send it to me.
Hey,
did you send it to?
I'll put it in the Discord. I put it at the bottom of the document.
Oh, right. I see what you mean. Okay, fair enough. Let me show
but it's in the Discord now.
Okay.
No, like the thing is, like the thing that stood out to me.
There's
is just
a few things jump out to me.
This ESL Face It alliance, in a sense, has just completely screwed anybody who was on the outside of that. Because now you're going to get Bardolph, who's going to be able to come in and use.
No one noticed that, you know. No one noticed that, Semmler. If people don't get it, this is going to be speculation because I don't know their situation, but it's actually informed speculation from knowing the past setup of the companies. The logic would be this, is what you're basically saying, right, Semmler, is if Facet's involved, not only are they A, going to advocate and ask for Bardolph to be in, but B, he might even still be under contract to him. Maybe you don't even pay the same, I don't know how that works. Like, maybe, do the actors need it for him?
He's almost certainly still working for Faceit.
Yeah, so unfortunately, basically, it's not about was he the best. He's probably just getting this gig no matter what now Facet's there, right? Because it is a bit out of nowhere. Like, if people don't know, Bardolph doesn't even cast CSGO anymore, as far as I know. He doesn't cast like other games now. Yeah. As far as I know, he's in Apex Legends or some weird game, right?
He's doing Apex Legends. He's doing racing streams. He's doing his own thing. I mean, dude,
they just sim racing as well. Yeah,
probably had a good chunk of Faceit stock, when they got purchased and all that. So he's probably
made out like a bandit
now. He's probably all good.
Yep.
So on that front, it's like he's working because he wants to, not because he has to. And also, I mean, this is the advantage. It's also Freya is an employee of Faceit.
That's true.
So that's also worth keeping in mind. And so now all of a sudden, now that merger has gone through, Freya's joining up on the ESL side. Getting the Descos one before that wouldn't have happened. ESL wouldn't have allowed it. They'd have looked for somebody else. But now also you see Bardolph working an ESL event, working Katowice, nonetheless. I mean, which is one of the flagship events for ESL. So to see Bardolph working a Katowice event, that's just mind-blowing.
And by the way,
huge shift in the caster dynamics.
I'll throw this one out there because it seems obvious actually now, but I missed it myself when it was the Rio Major. Remember, for the Rio Major, they had Shox there, but she was only like an interviewer or whatever. That's because obviously she was doing Worlds for most of it, wasn't she? So similarly, the reason why Shox is like desk host but / sideline is I assume she just won't work the whole event. Like, she'll be doing LEC at the same time as well. So I assume what will happen is she'll do parts of it and like maybe she'll do the playoffs, or I assume she just won't be doing it full time. Because otherwise, I guess if she wanted to do it properly, she would be the main host. I'm almost certain.
Well, I mean, I don't think she would be the main host because you still have to have some loyalty to Stunna. Stunna's been ESL's man, but then again, I mean, they've nearly cut him in the past, so there's no loyalty with any of these companies.
There's no loyalty with ESL.
I don't even know why I've
told you this story before, Semmler. This is the story I heard. I'll just fucking say it. I don't care anymore. I've heard Harry and Hugo basically just charged a lot less, and they became the prime people. And if you want to know when they stop charging less, it's when they weren't the prime people anymore. That's how ESL operates. They're not friends. What they're doing when you undercut is they're sort of saying, I agree. If you give me a massive financial region, I'll put you in the best spot. Right. Well, I don't want to give you that financial discount. Well, then you don't get the best spot. See ya. No loyalty. ESL just did it because it made sense business wise. Like,
yes. It's also building up. It's the same way that Blast built up Scrawny and Launders. It's the same way. But Blast are squandering that investment now by allowing ESL to take part in it instead of locking Scrawny and Launders down into some kind of exclusive contract with them. The Blast, like Scrawny and Launders wouldn't be a thing without Blast. So it really is like it's really a weird time when it comes to like the caster dynamics now, where it really feels like we almost have a mono party. Like it is a monopoly in a sense, because you're going to have the same casters everywhere now, whereas before you might have had DDK and Bardolph were just Face It, right? Like they weren't really doing much else. Anders and I were doing E-League, for example, and then Sato and Henry were doing ESL, and maybe you had some mixing for the majors, but apart from that, it was pretty like there was a reason why you would watch certain tournaments if you wanted certain casters. Now it feels like you're really going to go into this space where it's going to be the same casters everywhere. Blast, ESL.
What was the reason you said for Anders? Because I did see he did like a tweet thread where he explained what's going on. What was it? What was the reason Anders wasn't doing the event?
Well, I can only assume that Anders isn't. I didn't see a thread from Anders. I missed that.
He did like a tweet thread recently about like where he is in casting.
Oh, at the beginning of the year.
But that was more like general stuff. It's stuff that you've heard before, mate. Don't worry.
Well, the thing, like the only thing that I can assume that happened here is because Moses isn't there. This is just me speculating as a commentator, the way that I look at things in terms of commentary. But the way that I see this is just ESL are bringing, they could develop Haka. He's not going to be able to charge much, so he's going to make sense in terms of finances. Bardolph probably doesn't even cost them anything because, as you say, and I think he's still a Faceit employee. So you have a free commentary pair there, basically free. I mean, you pay Haka a decent day rate, but you don't need to pay him anything extravagant, and there you go. You're saving money. And then you have your two flagship duo, right? Machine Sponge, Hugo and Just Harry. And then you nod to the you nod to the community because the community really likes Ronnie and Launders right now, and it costs you nothing and it takes away from Blast's clout. So you bring Scrawny and Launders in because that undermines Blast and also gives the cake to the community. So that's how I read it. And then Anders costs a lot. He's been around for 10 years. He charges top rate. So you want to start phasing Anders out if you're ESL, I think, at this point, and start, working him out of the circuit because he costs a lot on a day. And this is just me thinking if I was in it makes sense. After 10 years in the industry, this is just how I think. This is how I would play it if I was in this position. And this is how ESL have played it. And ESL have told me shit in the past where it's just like, yeah, we'll never allow these certain duos. We'll never allow this. We'll never allow that. We're never going to allow you to have this kind of like ESL are not, they are constantly looking to keep people like down or break them up or divide and conquer and keep them fighting against each other. That's why I still don't understand from my perspective why casters would be mixing up duos at all, because that only weakens their negotiating power against ESL. So ESL they're delighted when commentators are, oh, you want to split up, do you? Oh, you want to cast with him? Oh, we'll go right ahead. Yeah, do that. No problem. Just undermines the entire, any kind of leverage that you have in a negotiation going forward. If you guys aren't a group, you got nothing at this point. So because you've got two tournament organizers, it's not like you had 5 like we used to have in the day. So you could DreamHack and Star Series, and you could go to a bunch of different ones and negotiate and have some fun with it. Now it's like you got ESL and you got Blast. If you're not good with either one of those, you're fucked. And then if you're not even having a duo, you're on your own, homie. If they don't like you, this is what Anders is finding out now. It's like, if they don't like you, you're gone. They just don't hire you. So it's fucking brutal for Anders right now because, listen, Moses has the best reason to take time off. Fucking A. You can't fault him that. It's awesome. But I'm surprised. It's really brutal for Anders, and I wonder what did Anders do to jockey? Did he try and jockey? Did he offer a different duo? Did he try to do anything? We're seeing him cast with Maui right now. Did he go to ESL and say, hey, can I cast with Maui for this event or something? Did he offer anything, or did ESL just give him the cold shoulder and say, actually, we're just bringing Bardolph and Hawk in because they're not going to cost us any money? What was the play here? Or are they actually trying to signal to Anders that he's on his way out? I've got questions. Because
one problem
ESL are absolutely capable of doing that. ESL are 100% capable of doing that, and that is definitely in the cards.
But here's my problem with that whole scenario, Semmler.
Okay, go for it.
If indeed Anders gets squeezed out by ESL, the only person he has to blame is in the mirror.
Okay.
What has he ever done what has Anders ever done as retribution for ESL fucking with him all these years? Nothing. He is the ultimate guy. The worst thing in this scenario, I think this is actually a really bad move tactically in his career, is he's the guy that you can fuck over and then just come back 3 months later and just be polite and he'll just work with you again. If you do that, mate, I'm sorry. Even if you're the great, by the way, let's be real. Anders is a fucking GOAT contender for all esports commentators. That's fucking sad that at this point in your career, ultimate status, you're just still letting ESL tool you around. That's just fucking sad, mate. The problem I have with that issue is this is where I'll give people a bit of inside info. This is where Flashpoint did change esports for me, because when I had to be the one negotiating with people, and then they were doing all those silly games with me, I'd start to get a little bit of sympathy for these TOs and be like, actually, some of these fucking talent are annoying. And it's the same with the thing about players before. They'll say one thing to one guy and then one thing to another, and then they purposely don't say much info when it helps them. And then when it does, they have all the info. It does get a bit tiresome. So that problem, that one is Anders basically waited until his stock isn't at the absolute top level and then didn't make a power move. His power moves could have been made years ago. He could run the scene right now if he wanted to,
In what sense, though? What do you mean by that?
He used to be the #1 commentator hired by every single event. That means you have the ultimate fucking supply and demand status. Like, he could have had all sorts of relationships. He could have had years-long deals with ESL. He could have had or he could have been the one who had the exclusive Blast contract for the biggest salary in the world. He could have had all these. Instead, what he did is what we all did, Semmler. Look, I didn't make the best decisions either. We all sat in a joint pool of talent and just fucking fought each other, undercutting until some of us got some events, some did, and then at the end, hopefully, it all shook out. And we all got like some events, and then at the end, here's the problem with that scenario. This is why it wasn't a good strategy. Who won? No one. ESL. You just said it earlier.
No. Like, ESL won.
Yeah, you're right. But none of the talent. Like, did Scrawny and Launders win? Remember, they surpassed. No, they didn't. Even they're in a spot where they're now the ones being torn from all angles. Did fucking Harry and Hugo win? Yeah, they won initially, and then they didn't as much. Did Anders and Moses? No, like, you see what I mean? Like, the only person who won was ESL at the end. Like, the TOs actually played us all. They played us all. And by the way, I will say as well.
There is a the other side of this is the thing is the big what would it be like the pushback against Room on Fire was that we were all talent, and so we were all still still technically competitors with one another. Even though Room on Fire, at least initially, worked wonderfully, it fell apart because, again, infighting and like trying to figure out like who does what and all that it definitely got a bit spicy. But like
one day, you know what, Semmler, one day, it doesn't have to be today.
And manage that. But
one day you have to let the statute of limitations go on and just say the names of the people who fucked up Room on Fire, because it's a very short list, and those names are mad spicy. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe you get annoyed enough by someone. We'll see.
I don't know. It's like it wouldn't change anything. Like, it is what it is.
It wouldn't. It doesn't matter at all. But it is funny if you know the names. Like, because it seems so obvious in hindsight, doesn't it?
It just makes me wonder, like, where we could have been.
Yeah, exactly.
If like I just stepped back from commentary and just tried to run Room on Fire as an agent at that point, and we could have had like a group that only promotes talent and like offers like a one-stop shop to all tournaments, because that was the point of Room on Fire, was to offer a one-stop shop. Like, you need analysts, you need commentators, you need hosts. Here's all these guys. We can do different combinations. Here's the prices, blah blah. And you could use group leverage in that point. So then it's all like you could do group packages and make it all nice and neat and really easy for TOs. It was really loads of fun. There was a lot of potential there, and then we all just kind of squandered it. It's definitely going to be one of those things where I look back and be like, we could have done a better job there. But again, that's one of those things where hindsight's 2020. But the way that it currently stands for, I don't envy commentators. I don't envy if you're talent right now in CSGO, it's about to get really fucking brutal, because you've got ESL, you've got Blast, and that's pretty much it. So if you're not in with either one of those, ESL are making it abundantly clear they've got their top two duos. Machine Sponge, Harry Hugo. They can bring in Scrawny and Launders if they need it, and then I legit think that Bardoff and Hawka are only there because they're cheap. Bardoff is probably free, and Hawka is probably a third of the day rate. Like whatever. And
Hawka's just super eager. He'll do any event. Yeah, exactly. He's still trying to break in.
No, he's Harry and Hugo essentially, in the sense that he's not going to be able to charge anything. So you get him for a good price, and there you go. So you save some money there. You go down the list: YNK, Maniac, Maui Snake, Kassad, Blay, and Peacemaker. All of this is good. It's just, it sucks to see Peace instead of Pimp, because Pimp just keeps getting the shaft from ESL. Whatever is going on with Pimp, he's just
I don't get it.
Verboten at ESL. So tough break for Pimp there. Would have liked to have seen him at that
especially because you know what, I'm just going to say it. Even though I did a really long interview with him and I do like him, mate, the analyst desk, this is like the devil walk thing. The analyst desk is all about being really good at speaking in a really concise and efficient way. Peacemaker speaks too slowly and his English isn't good enough. I'm just going to say it. If he doesn't like it, he can fucking contact me. I'll tell him to his face. I'll add in a few insults. Don't worry, I'm just getting annoyed about nothing like that. But basically, the point is, like, that's like so rude to Pimp. Like, you might not think Pimp's the best. You're not hiring the best. You're hiring your sixth guy. He's not even the sixth guy. He's done every event for like 3 years, guys. Like, this guy, there are things you can dislike about Pimp, but let's be real. He is a better analyst than Peacemaker. That's not hate on Peacemaker. Peacemaker's a coach. Peacemaker needs to put in his years like everyone else. Like, it's all about game knowledge. I think I do agree. This just sets a precedent. Like, ESL is just the fuck Pimp org now. They don't care about Pimp for some reason.
This makes me wonder, like, what is driving, like what is driving your vision? Like, what's your producer? Who's your producer? Who's your manager over at ESL? Who's got the vision for what you want to create for the show? Because right now I'm getting mixed signals. I'm getting a mix of, you're willing to bring in guys who don't cast CSGO anymore, i.e. Bardoff. You're willing to bring in coaches. You're willing to bring in coaches and analysts, and basically say that a coach is an analyst. So again, is there any level of showmanship there? Is there anything that matters? I mean, like if you're ESL and you're brutal in this, and you really are like taking it to the extreme cynical side of things, where you're saying, okay, I don't give a fuck about analysts because analysts are glorified commercial breaks anyways, and they're just there to keep eyeballs during the commercial breaks. Well, then okay, fine, fair enough. I guess then it doesn't really matter. Then you're going to go for price. And I guess they can get Peacemaker at a very good price. And so he may be costing less than Pimp. And then maybe it's just that pragmatic, the same kind of point that I made with Bardolph and Hawka, they're making with Peacemaker, where they're like, yeah, whatever, we'll get him. He probably costs a third of what the other guys are charging. And we can bring him in for that. That may very well be the way that they're operating. The same goes for, up top. I mean, as far as the host,
I've got a name that is missing.
Go for it.
Where's Frankie? She's already announced she's going to work with ESL Impact. Like, remember, it's not about, I can't be seen with the Saudi thing. She can work with the Saudis, though. She's already working with them. So why is she not in the mix? That almost implies she's not going to be in the big events. Like, you've already crossed the Rubicon, love. You may as well go for it.
That's a good point.
Or does ESL not want that? I don't know, because if you notice, they have a lot of names in that host interviewer talent section, right? They've got
the thing is, you've got Freya. If you're Frankie, you're kind of on the outside looking in right now, right? Shox has got a long history with ESL.
Yep.
Freya is Face It, and is Face It. So you're gonna have to compete with Freya. Not gonna happen. Stunna is OG ESL as well, and I think that ESL are showing a shred of loyalty to him. So
yes,
they're not
does seem to be the one person
they're
loyal to. I'll give him that. Yeah.
He's probably one of the only ones now. Even though they tried to fuck him over in the past, it seems like he's all right now. You're not going to do OJ's job. OJ is the fucking mic man for these big events, and that's pretty much it. You're not taking that away from him. That's it. Like, what else are you going to do? I mean, I guess you could do Darth Mike's job. That's probably where you're going to go. But then again, if we're talking about budget and price, I mean, you probably spent a lot of your budget already on Shox.
Let's be real. He's almost certainly doing either the worst game or the B stream. One of the two. Right?
Sorry.
Darth Mike is either going to be doing the worst.
Darth Mike
game
is your guy who's getting his foot in the door, and he's probably doing it for a fraction of the cost.
So you're also not hiring Frankie for that job anyway. You're right. Yeah.
No. And then you've got Heku, who you're trying to build up right now, and again, who's probably not charging top rate either. You're probably getting Heku. I mean,
just from where she's from, I imagine she's cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably getting her at a very good price. So why are you going to get Frankie, who lives in London? Who's going to be charging top rate when you can have Heku, who is you're currently developing.
And then of course you got to have Banks because of the Navi Nation and BNE and other conflicts of interest. So no, whatever. That's just a joke, isn't it?
Then you got Banks. Can we get some Banks in the chat?
The joke is, if you look at the fact he is hired to like every event, he must actually just be like the Banks. He's too big to fail. They can't fucking cut this guy. It's ridiculous. I'll tell you what I want. I want some fucking audit the Fed, aka James Banks. Whatever.
Well, he does lie as much as the Banks, doesn't he? So there you go. Oh, fucking A. This whole thing. I mean, it's like. That's my read on this situation is like you have some of the old hands that are going to be there and that are going to be ESL, that are ESL men through and through. Sponge Machine, like they're ESL men through and through. They're company men. OJ Borg, same thing. Stunna, same thing. Freya, same thing.
This is something I made a tweet about, but it's the same as with the teams. I told you the flaw with the Blast circuit is it's just a cut down version of what ESL gives you. So, in the same way as with the teams, you don't get as many of the teams because it's not as big an event. It's the same with the talent. That's why, as you said, the key point you made last year was that it's game over the second that Scrawny and Launders just do ESL events, because now an ESL event is all your favorite talent from Blast plus the other favorite talent that aren't at Blast. Like, how do you compete with that? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you might love a Mars bar Semmler, but if you have the choice of Mars bar plus a pick and mix, well, that wins because it's what you like and other stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you beat that?
Yeah, you're done. No, that's pretty much it. Because you've got your desk host, you have Maniac and Maui who are already there.
And the casters.
You're only missing
casters,
Pin.
right?
You've got Scrawny and Launders. You're missing Anders and Moses, basically.
And that's from separate reasons. They would be here if they could be, probably.
There you go. So it's you're toast now. I mean, you got nothing if you're blasted. You don't really have any way to stand out now. You're on ESL's coattails. But we established that at the end of last year. I mean, we're going into monopoly times in CSGO, and it's gonna get pretty brutal.
Also, here's another thing as well that people don't think about. There's actually an angle for ESL that I get slightly annoyed at because fucking Chad essentially created this for them. Because for some reason, even though ESL has no loyalty, Chad has unending loyalty to ESL for some bizarre reason I still don't really understand myself. I think part of it's because he just knows some of the people in the company who were German when he was living there. Somewhat weird like that.
Pragmatist. I think he's a pragmatist. I think he's just like, you know, ESL is the game in town. And like, if I you know, it's like I said, where I had an old friend who was asking me same thing, you know, where it's just like, why would you not go with ESL? Like, why did you go with E-League? Why did you go with Flashpoint? Why did you go with these others? You know, it's like, if you're a pragmatist, if you were just going to be like, I want to be in this as long as possible, and it's just about making money and talking about Counter-Strike, and I want to be in this as long as possible, of course you would go with ESL. You go all in on ESL because you know that they're gonna be even what 6-7 years ago, you know that ESL would be the safe bet. Would be, if you really wanted to do that, that would be it. That would be the safe bet. You go with ESL. But we didn't want that. We wanted to, you know, we wanted to the Rebels. We wanted to do the more exciting projects, the more fun projects. And
that's why Blast can't win though. This is why Blast can't win, because there's actually an angle people haven't thought of, which is, imagine Blast's broadcast in every sense was better than ESL's, and the talent was just as good. Here's what what ESL could do that Blast can't, and it's actually game over, right? Blast could actually say to Machine and Sponge, we just want to hire you for your old roles. Right? Spoiler, Freya's really good. She ain't Machine. I'll tell you what, I love Maniac. He ain't fucking Sponge. Anytime that duo, which at the moment they're just trying to be the best casters, anytime they want to go back to their old gigs, and they are ESL's boys, you've got what Blast could have had, Semmler. You've got the unique thing that they can't have, you know? They can only have that occasionally. So I think ESL has all the fucking marbles, mate. It's going to be so hard for Blast from here on out. They're playing from behind the 8 ball and other references.
It's going to be very hard for everybody from here on out. If you're on the talent side of things, you need to, you need to get in good with ESL. That's going to be the way forward. Don't really see any.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.